Hi math students, this is your introduction video for our lesson on multi-step equations, part 2. In this lesson, there are two types of equations we're going to be focusing on. The first is equations like these. If I draw that line at my equal sign that you know I like, one of the things you might notice is that we have that variable x on both sides. When I go to solve this equation, I still want to start the same way we did in our last lesson. I want to start by seeing, can I simplify anything? Looking at the left side, 5x plus 3 minus 2x, I notice I can simplify by combining like terms. 5x minus 2x is 3x. I then want to copy down my 3, my equal sign. On the right side, there's nothing I can simplify because I cannot subtract a number and an x, so I copy both down. This is where the new step is going to happen. When you have variables on both sides, you're going to need to do something to help you solve. Keeping in mind that our answer is going to be something like this. It's going to have x on one side and a number on the other side. So keeping that in mind, I want to get rid of one of my x's. In equations with variables on both sides, you want to cancel the variable on one side. Or you can think of it as moving your variable to one side. So we have options. I could get rid of my 3x and subtract 3x on both sides, or I can get rid of that minus 6x by adding 6x on both sides. Both ways are good. Both ways give you the same answer. I'm going to do this because for me, I like this because it keeps the numbers positive. Those cancel out, and 3x plus 6x gives me 9x. After that, I copy everything else down. So copy plus 3, copy equals, copy 9. So this step here in blue is move variable to one side. After that, look at this equation. It's a two-step equation. You know how to finish solving. Pause the video and finish solving this equation here. To finish solving, we want to get rid of our constant. That is the number 3 by doing the opposite. That is going to give me the equation 9x equals 6. And then for my last step, I want to divide by the 9 to get my answer. When I do that, I've got x equals 6 divided by 9. Now 6, you can't divide that by 9, at least not without getting a decimal. So I'm going to keep my answer as a fraction here. But with fractions, remember we said we always want to simplify. So looking at 6 and 9, I know I can divide both of those numbers by 3, and that gives me my final answer of 2/3. In today's lesson, we're going to start seeing more fractions and decimals. And keep in mind that variable can equal any number. It doesn't just have to be a whole number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the second part of this lesson, speaking of fractions, we're going to look at equations that have fractions in them and talk about an easier way to help us solve these. For example, I have the equation 4y minus 2/3 equals 9y plus 1. What I want to talk about is that 2/3 there, that fraction. At some point, if we were trying to solve this equation the same way we solved the equation above, I would be adding 2/3 on both sides and having to do 1 plus 2/3. Now, that is possible. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way, but when you add 1 and 2/3, you get another fraction, and then you have to divide a fraction. There's nothing wrong with this way, but I think it's safe to say doing math with fractions is not everyone's favorite thing, and so there is a strategy you can use to get rid of the fraction, and it has to do with what fractions mean. When I look at the fraction 2/3, I can think of it as a fraction, or we've learned this line right here. What does that line mean? It means division. So I can think of this fraction as 2 divided by 3. And if I want to get rid of the fraction, it means I want to get rid of or cancel the division. So the way we can do that, and I can do it at the very beginning before I start solving, is I can get rid of that fraction, that division, by doing the opposite. By multiplying the equation by, if this is dividing by 3, I would want to multiply by 3. I would want to multiply the equation by the denominator. That is the bottom number in your equation. So for this equation here, if I do not want to have to do math with fractions, I can multiply the equation by the number 3. Now when you're multiplying an equation, you want to be careful because we already know from above you want to do the math on both sides, but with multiplication, you want to multiply the entire side. You want to multiply the entire side by the number 3. So you can write it like this, like one big multiplication problem, and then distribute 3 to everything. You can write it like I had before with 2 parentheses and say I need to multiply this side by 3 and this other side by 3. Or I've had students who rewrite it as 4 multiplication problems. They write 3 times 4y minus 2/3 times 3 equals 9y times 3 plus 1 times 3. I maybe don't have enough room for that, but they all mean the same thing. I am going to do it like this, just for space. And we want to distribute or multiply the 3 with every part of the equation. So when we do that, 3 times 4y, that gives me 12y. 3 times 2/3, remember we're doing that to cancel out the 3. So I'm multiplying that so that those 3's cancel out for that multiplication problem, and I only have minus 2. You could do it the long way. 3 times 2/3 equals 6/3, which equals 2, or you can just say the 3's cancel. After that, there's no more fractions, so it should be quick. We have equals. 3 times 9y is 27y, and 3 times 1 is 3. And now I have an equation that looks just like the equation above, where we would want to go through the steps of simplifying if we can, moving your variable to one side, and then solving a 2-step equation. Pause the video here and try finishing this equation by going through those last 3 steps we need to solve. So for this equation, there's nothing I can simplify. I can't do 12y minus 2. I can't do 27y plus 3, so I need to move my variable to one side. I'm this time going to subtract 12y on both sides. If you subtracted 27y, it should give you the same answer. When we do that, that gives me negative 2 equals 15y plus 3. And there's my 2-step equation I need to solve. I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. That gives me negative 5 equals 15y. And then my final step, I want to divide both sides by 15. When I do that, I've got y all by itself. Negative 5 divided by 15. Be careful with that. 15 divided by 5, that's 3. So 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3. This here, though, is a fraction. If you have these numbers, we can simplify that fraction by dividing by 5, and you get the fraction negative 1/3. So y equals the number negative 1/3. In today's lesson, we're going to look at more equations like these and get really confident at solving these multi-step equations. Thanks so much for watching. You're ready for today's lesson.